We weren't live the whole time. Hi,
Oh,
everybody.
that's Hello, everybody.
I forgot to hit the live thing. But hi, we were only talking for half an hour, or whatever. It's cool.
That is exactly what happened to me the very first time I tried to ever go live. So,
This is my first interview. Sorry, hey chat. I'm so sorry. Somebody said I was too busy hitting on this dude to start the show. That's what got my attention.
well, thank you all for being here and thank you all for being patient. Uh,
Again, this is Vets talking over here. He is a former PSYOP specialist from the military. And you guys can ask questions in the chat. I was wondering, nobody's asking questions. I guess I'll just keep asking questions. Yeah, that was so funny. This is him.
That's exactly the same thing that happened to me. I thought, wow, nobody really cares to hear what I have to say because nobody's saying anything. Then I realized, oh, yeah, you have to hit broadcast. That helps.
Yeah, that's just a little piece of the puzzle there. So welcome everybody in chat. Thank you for joining us today. We will be taking questions from you guys if you have any questions for him. So we could start all over again then. How about that?
Yep. I feel like I'm properly rehearsed now. So
Yeah,
let's do this.
exactly. So yeah, you were in the PSYOPs for how long, and what was your role, and what do you guys do, basically?
So yeah, I spent 9 years in the Army. The last half of that, I was in psychological operations. Before that, I was in military intelligence as a ground surveillance systems operator. When I was in MI, we were a boots on the ground asset. I spent my time, we did lots of patrols in Iraq. I spent my time with an infantry detachment. And so I actually got reached out to and essentially recruited into going into PSYOP. And the main reason that I wanted to go into PSYOP is because there are many, many elements to PSYOP and different types of operation that you can conduct. And one thing that I knew about was tactical PSYOP. If you've ever seen one of the Humvees that has a speaker on top, that's a tactical PSYOP truck because they do loudspeaker broadcasts. And especially with the unit that I was in, I was assigned, my unit was in Special Operations Command. And so we were specifically tasked to provide PSYOP support for Special Operations Forces, whether it be 75th Ranger Regiment, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, everything else like that. However, when I ended up deploying, I was assigned to what was called a product development detachment for a tactical PSYOP company. And so my role then was in the production of PSYOP products as opposed to actually disseminating them.
Okay, so that's the pamphlets that we hear about. You guys passing out.
It can be anything that you can possibly imagine that you can put a message on. That is a potential PSYOP product. We would put them on soccer balls, on mugs, pens and pencils, but also the more
Mhm.
commonly known ones and the most common ones that you would know of would be things like handbills, posters, even billboards, and obviously the very infamous leaflet drop.
Okay. There's something I didn't ask you about while we were off air when I thought we were on air. Um, Media manipulation. Do you guys do any of that? Like aside from the pamphlets, is like the news? Do you guys manipulate the news at all?
We do have our ability to create our own broadcasts. We don't, I mean, we can't take an existing, like obviously, even if it were something like, say, I don't know what an Iraqi news
Do
channel
they?
would be like,
I don't know.
but I mean, we
Al
can't,
Jazeera,
yeah.
like Al Jazeera.
Yeah, so use an example like I mean, we're not going to hijack Al Jazeera and put our message in there, but
Well,
we do have the ability to broadcast. So to use as an example, if we were, so I was not in PSYOP when we invaded Iraq. I was there a few years later, but I would assume that we might have hijacked their airways to put out messages. And we do have the ability to do that. There is a converted C-130 that's called Commando Solo. Why it exactly is called Commando Solo, sounding like Han Solo, I'm not exactly sure, but it's an aircraft that has the ability to hijack airways. So it'll fly over an area and it can do any number of things, like it can block signals, and then also broadcast our own signals.
That's
So
over
we do
the
have
radio, not TV though, right? Just the radio.
the TV. I don't know. I would imagine that there might be, like, obviously with the old style TV broadcasts. I think that's probably a possibility, but that was in an area of expertise I was not part of.
Okay. We have a question from Doc. He says, "Vet, when did you go through WLC? I had a PSYOP friend there. We bowled a lot. Cool cat."
Yep. WLC is talking about Warrior Leadership course. I went through it when it was still PLDC, Primary Leadership Development course. I went through PLDC at Fort Bragg, I want to say 2005, I think.
Okay, 2005. Very good. So we went over a lot of stuff while we were off air, accidentally. Can you go over the pamphlet thing again? Because I thought that was interesting. Like, you guys develop them and it takes months for the whole process. And
so let's say let's say again, for an example, the beginning of we were talking before about Operation Desert Storm, because there's a very well-known leaflet drops that were done for that influenced the Iraq army, Iraq soldiers, to give up. The pamphlets, the entire operation was to get them to give up and give themselves in to be taken prisoner by the Americans. The entire process that leads up to that, when the war was beginning, will begin at very upper levels, where they create the SYOP objectives, supporting SYOP objectives, potential target audience lists, among many other elements. And this is to create the entire operation of what it is that we want to accomplish in Operation Desert Storm from the SYOP objective. And that can be something that can be multiple binders thick of information that can take, I would assume, would take at least a month, but maybe even longer than that, to develop all this. That goes into the operation for the boots on the ground and the guys like me in the product development detachment, where then when you have all this information compiled, you will now say, okay, we would like to have the soldiers give up. We want to create a product. We want to create this leaflet that's going to get them to want to give up. Now you take all those binders of information, compile it down to determine what's the objective, what's the SYOP objective we want, what's the support and SYOP objective that's going to help that objective, and who from the potential target audience list is going to be the best target audience that is going to achieve this objective. And that's when, like I was saying with the team that I was in lead of, the plans and programs team, we take all that, we compile everything to this worksheet for everything that's going to work out, determine our measures of effectiveness. I'm not going to go through everything, but it's a lot. And then that will circle around to the target audience analysis team, who takes everything that we want to achieve, and they will go through an analysis process. Like, say, the target audience for that situation will be Iraqi soldiers, likely in the age range of, say, 18 to 21, because you're looking for younger age soldiers. And so they will then analyze everything that we know about that target audience and determine all these other factors, and look and create a list of what we would like the product to look like that'll be most effective to make them want to give up. That then goes on to the production team, where we have a graphic designer who takes that little 2x9 sheet and puts as much in there as possible that's going to make all the effectiveness based on all the information that we've given them. And after all that process, you now have one teeny tiny little piece of paper that gets dropped out of the sky.
Yep. Per Comic says pamphlet drop sounds pretty simple, and I guess you're right. It's not as interesting as being a CIA PSYOPs person, as far as, you know, doing kinds of interesting things like that. But just wanted to distinguish for the people listening that there is a difference between the CIA and the military PSYOPs. Military has to follow humanitarian laws, and they can't do it on American citizens and stuff like that.
Yep, we have very strict codes by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We're limited on the things that we can do, and also I would imagine that the CIA should be limited, obviously, on the things that they can do. But obviously for the more conspiratorial minded individuals like ourselves, we know the CIA probably gets away with a lot of shit they're not supposed to do. I know that they're not beholden to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but I mean, obviously, there's got to be some sort of a law that says they're not supposed to do it on, say, like American citizens themselves. But we can maybe infer that's probably happening.
I would assume that they do.
Yeah, but
Perth,
yeah, what?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Perth is asking, what experimental technology did you know of that was secret then but is public now?
I knew that. Okay, so obviously, again, I think you're probably asking, like, did we have some sort of mind control technology? That is not at the level I ever worked at. I can say that when I got out, social media was not as powerful as it is now. It was not as influential, but I had heard that and this is like secondhand knowledge. I was not privy to this information. Somebody was telling me that someone was looking into at some level how to use social media as a PSYOP tool. And it wasn't long after that when the oh man, I was thinking about this term before. The Arabian Spring.
Arab Spring, yeah.
The Arab Spring, when that stuff was happening, when North Africa was going down, and you heard about, and these other nations, the Arab Spring was happening, and we had heard that this all started because of Facebook posts, and that's when bells started going off in my head. Well, I wonder if someone on our side was using Facebook to cause this to happen.
Okay, it seems like people do conflate PSYOPs with electronic warfare. Like this comment right here from Henry Dorset. He says he'll probably get around to it, but LRADs and the active denial system seemed like future tech, and it was cool seeing them in action. That's when they have like an invisible something on top of one of the Humvees or whatever, and it like zaps people with a frequency, and it stops you in your tracks, or it like kind of microwaves you.
Yeah,
totally different. But yeah,
wasn't it like a seismic acoustic type thing? Like you use sound to kind of paralyze you?
That's a different type, but yeah, there's other ones I've heard of. The active denial system makes it feel like you're being microwaved.
Okay.
This person says yes, seen it. J.E. Prodigal Son has seen it used in Mosul.
Yeah, that's in Iraq.
Oh, okay, and you were in Iraq, right?
Yeah, I was actually not too far away from Mosul on my first tour.
Very interesting. Yeah, that stuff's more like some type of different operation. I don't know, because psychological operations seems like it would be more behind the scenes.
Yeah, everything that if I remember at the LRAD thing, I do remember hearing about that. I think that was more of anti-riot tool than anything else.
Oh, Doc says he's going to be your friend. He can already tell.
Hey, buddy. Thanks,
yeah.
Doc.
Subscribe to him at Vets Talking.
Yep, Vets Talking. Drop the G and you'll find me.
Just reading some of these comments here. Okay. So they didn't get to hear the part about the psychological operations that were being done for the AIDS situation, because that's kind of funny, but kind of sad too.
I mean, yeah, it's because like we were talking about, there's so many different elements to what PSYOP does and what it can do, and it can go everything from, like I was talking about, like for Saddam's army, getting them to give up and want to turn themselves in. You can have operations where you can want to have soldiers turn on their leaders. There's so many different things you can do, but also there's humanitarian aspects. Even there's a lot of things that we can do just to, again, this is oftentimes it can be whatever the unit commander objective is in, say, a place like Iraq. But because we have operations in places like Africa as well, there are elements to what we would like to do that can be considered that is an objective that is beneficial to what American goals are. And so if it's a African nation that we're trying to help out, then there can be many things. Like, so with an AIDS epidemic that is happening in some of these African nations, obviously we were being requested to try to help out and curb that. And one of the issues that was going on with the spreading of AIDS is that for some reason, these people seem to have thought that having sex with a virgin will get rid of AIDS.
That's horrible.
So I had heard about how part of an operation that we were doing out there was just knowledge based and trying to help people understand that doesn't work. So raping a virgin is not going to fix your AIDS. It's also and that was another aspect I was want to talk about, the different elements to what PSYOP can do in those African type operations. I wasn't too on board with it at a time because, like I said, I want to be tactical PSYOP. But when we're doing some of these operations in places like that, it's embassy work. And so PSYOP operators will go in and fly out to Africa and not bring any weapons, not even bring a uniform. And if you're a man, you can even grow your hair out and you go on with the cover story. And so you're not even known as being PSYOP. This is some of the things I was telling you. There's the clandestine aspect to what PSYOP can do. So you can be working in the embassy in civilian clothes, go out to the populace to gather information or to hand out handbills or whatever, and no one even know that you're PSYOP, because you don't really want people knowing that you're out there trying to persuade, change, or influence people.
And is that why you had a beard at one point when you were over there? You had
no. I think the pictures you saw of me with the beard, that was when I was doing executive protection training after the military.
Okay, gotcha. James W. Robinson says, tell us what you know about the truth behind the 2020 election, and were you at January 6th, situation?
I know nothing more than anyone else does as far as the 2020 election goes. I do know that if we try to say what we want to say here on YouTube, then Papa Susan is going to spank your channel for it. So we can,
well,
I think
she left, but there's somebody else in charge now. But yeah.
Yeah, so I said Papa Susan because
yeah. We don't know
Papa
who he is.
Susan. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I think we all know that there was that the 2020 election was a little shady. And what happened on January 6th? I was working with a civilian journalist group, and we did go out to Washington, D.C. to cover everything that was there. I was at President Trump's speech at the Ellipse, but my group was separated. They went out to the Capitol building. I went back to the hotel because I thought that what we were doing is we were going to upload the footage that we were getting at the hotel and then go down to the Capitol building. So I was trying to upload footage while they were out there. And I can say this as well. They never even knew what was going on. I think that whatever part of the building they were at, they had their own footage going on. And it was a fun party where they were at. There was just patriotic people doing patriotic things. They didn't even see the violence and everything that's happening.
Oh, how strange.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, we can't talk too much about the I can't even say the word. I can say erection, but I can't say the other word.
Yeah.
So yeah, we won't talk about it.
Yeah, Papa Susan.
Yeah. What do you think about the PSYOP commercial the Army put out? Been out since 2009. Would love to know what an intel vet thinks about it.
If you're talking about the one I think you're talking about, there was one that went out that had this like ghost theme, and it was like Spectre or something like it. It was really weird.
I think I see it. Yeah, we can play it in a minute if you want to give us your opinion on it first.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's been a while since I saw it, so yeah, you can go ahead and play it. And
okay, let me get that going.
Help refresh my memory of what was in that.
Sure. Assuming this is the right one here.
Yep, Ghost in the Machine. That's the one.
All right. Is there audio? Did you hear that? Did you hear anything?
You have to play a little bit more. I don't think there was anything going.
Well, it's white noise right now, but now do you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, turn it up. There you go.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Yeah, this is really kind of creepy.
It is.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering, do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get by.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night close in.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a sick fucking promo. Like, that's really good. I mean, creepy.
I can tell you this because obviously PSYOP is so good at what they do. They're their own best recruiters as well. So the entire objective of what they're trying to do there, that's a recruitment video for people in the military and to try to get the best people who want to join PSYOP. PSYOP went through a change in name shortly after I got out. They got rid of the name PSYOP. One, after I think, like I said, Alex Jones was using it all the time. I don't have anything against Alex Jones. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Right.
And a lot of other people were. And also the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats came out. And that was based on true stories about what special forces were doing. And PSYOP was also in there. And PSYOP was made to look really bad. It's not to say PSYOP has always been the best actors as far as some of the stuff that we would do, because we even use prisoners of war as to experiment our tactics on. And that was portrayed in that movie. So I think that what happened is that they felt like the name PSYOP became too synonymous with bad intentions. So they changed it from psychological operations to military information support operations, or MISO.
Oh.
And anybody who's familiar with miso soup, you can imagine the memes and the jokes went out a lot. And I know I'd heard about people saying, well, I didn't join PSYOP to be miso. So it's not long after when they had to change it back to PSYOP because nobody wanted to be miso. So that video right there, like I said, that being a recruitment video, they're doing that to try to look as badass and as cool as possible.
spooks,
recruit people.
basically. They're acting like they're spooks with the ghosts, right?
Yeah.
That's-
Well,
that's-
and I guarantee that came from also the shot in there where you saw the guy flipping the tank. If you notice that was from World War II, when this was before psychological operations was created. This unit, I think they were just known as the Ghosts, but they were a deception unit. And what they did for that, the tanks, these inflatable tanks and trucks, was used ahead of the Normandy invasion, where they inflated an entire fake military army at one portion to make it look like the invasion is happening over there, while the real military was actually forming to go over to Normandy. So that was actually a big attribute onto how the Normandy invasion was so successful, because Hitler diverted all their troops to go get prepared for this over here, when the tanks and everything were actually just inflated balloons. And so those guys are known as ghosts. So I think that's where the ghost theme came from.
That makes sense. How much of what was going on in that video was true to life? Because I have questions. Like, there's the army guys with the white faces in the forest. What was that? I'll bring it back up if I need to. It flashed for like a second. At some point, is it showing you guys?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Anyway, there's one point in here where it's like a bunch of army guys with white masks on in the forest. Really creepy. Right here.
I'm not sure. Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I don't know. I was wondering if you knew what that might be. And then the guy
Not really.
Makeup. It's weird.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Maybe he's supposed to portray like that clown right there, where the clown is shown to be a ghost underneath. So maybe that's what the theme of that is. The chess pieces keep on popping up on our emblem. The chess piece, the rook, the horse head. That's actually used. That is commonly used in our PSYOP symbolism and on our emblems. Not so much as the chess piece itself, but to reminisce from the Trojan horse. Well, the Trojan horse itself was a deception technique.
Indeed, it was. They actually showed the pamphlets, I think, getting it thrown out of the airplane, I think, at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they had you jumping out of airplanes a lot, right?
Yeah, PSYOP is one of the few Army specialties that require you to be airborne qualified, and that's because we are Special Operations MOS. All special operations specialties require airborne training as well as language training.
I see. And when they show these groups of like local people, does that mean that they're infiltrating the protests or something? Or
so them? As with all of these uprisings, I think that it can be inferred there's a couple of different things to the symbolism here. Either this is something that maybe we might have caused because we dropped pamphlets, and maybe like this was some sort of a dictatorship regime that this country was suffering through, and maybe our influence may have caused this uprising, or maybe as well, then maybe we're trying to de-escalate the violence that's going on here. I can definitely say like that with the Berlin Wall. I mean, that's something right there. I guarantee there's probably psychological operations going on for East Germany to want to cause the East Germans to to stand up against the Russian oligarchy or the Russian influence and get them to tear down the wall.
I actually lived there when that got torn down. I lived in Germany on an army base.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting. My dad has a piece of it. Very interesting. That's a cool video. I mean, it's very well produced, I've got to say. Yeah,
the Ghost in the Machine. I do like the symbolism that's inferred behind that, because it is true. For one, everything that PSYOP does, until, like, say, a product is disseminated, then everything is still classified. So a leaflet itself cannot be seen. It's classified information until it's disseminated, then it's declassified. Everything that we would do is supposed to be in the shadows. That's why any of our deployments our deployments, unlike if you look at, like, say, Army Times Magazine would always have, like, 173rd Airborne is being deployed here, a brigade from 82nd is over here, but you will never see on there where PSYOP units are assigned, because but it's inferred. Also, PSYOP is everywhere, all around the world stage. Everywhere there's a military operation, there is PSYOP being used for that.
Wow. So everywhere there's like an uprising, do you think we're involved?
I would not. I can't assume that. I mean, again, does the CIA have a hand in it? That's a possibility. But especially at least military PSYOP. But like talking about here, so to use as an example, as far as like the global reach that PSYOP has, there are two main elements for Army psychological operations. There is the reserve component and the active component. The reserve component has units all over the country. So there's units in California, Minnesota, a couple of places here and here. But active component for psychological operations is all in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And it all is assigned to United States Army Special Operations Command. When I was in, there was only one PSYOP group. A PSYOP group is formed in the same way that a special forces group is. So you have groups instead of brigade, and you have detachments instead of platoons, and so on and so forth. In PSYOP group, we had every battalion was a different regional battalion. So you had one battalion was the European and Africa battalion. You had another battalion that was the Middle Eastern battalion, another battalion that was the Pacific battalion, another one that was the Americas battalion, obviously more for Central and South America. And then there was the tactical battalion. All encompassing, that one force psychological operations group is capable of performing PSYOP over the entire world.
Wow. Did they get involved in like faking religious like events happening to fool the local people, to scare them? Do you know anything about that?
Religious events? I can't imagine how that would be conducted by military PSYOP.
Holographic warfare, basically. Projection.
Oh, yeah. Again, that stuff I mean, like I was talking about, I was only learning about the use of social media when I was getting out. So if military psychological operations had anything like that, I would not know.
You don't know about anything cool like that, huh?
Not to that aspect.
Technology-wise. What do you think is going on in this frame where it says deceive and they have a woman on her back in the water? I think it's a woman. Maybe not.
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But I know this is the scene where it goes deceive, persuade, change, influence, and I think they said inspire. When I was in the major slogans was to persuade, change, and influence. That was the common understanding of what we did. Deception techniques are something that we could do, but it was never okay. It was never really acceptable for us to conduct operations that involve flat out lies. And the reason behind that is that if you were ever discovered to be lying, then you lose your credibility and your influential ability. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that there can be exceptions. Like, so we would have different levels of PSYOP. There's white, gray, and black PSYOP. White PSYOP is where the audience knows it's you putting it out. Like if I had a handbill or I was putting up a poster and it's a soldier wearing our uniform, that's a white PSYOP. They know that's coming from the United States military. Gray PSYOP is where it could be ambiguous. Ambiguous. Yes. Thank you. My brain just shut down all of a sudden. It could be ambiguous. You're not too sure who it's coming from. A large use of that would be a radio broadcast. We could put a radio broadcast out and just not say who it is that's broadcasting. Black PSYOP is true deception. When you are attempting to make the operation look like it's something it's coming from somebody else. So an example of that could be, if we wanted, say Saddam's military believe that their leadership is trying to harm them in some way, shape, or form, then we could put a message out and make it believe that they found something that's coming from Saddam's army and make them angry at them for it. But black PSYOP is the ultimate level where that needs to have extremely high authority to sign off on. Because again, you don't want to be found out as being that
A
deceptive.
liar. Yeah, because then
Right.
they'll never trust you. Very good. Perth Comic says the soldier spirit think the world is better off with PSYOPs. All this control.
I think that there's a lot of let's use the example of technologies. Can AI be a good technology to be out there? It depends on who's controlling it, right?
I think it's
depends
great.
on who.
But yeah,
it's great for you because you can create artwork with it.
it could do bad things too, though. But it's really good. It's helping.
Yeah.
It's advancing so much right now. They just released the API for what was it? Whatever. Oh, Chat GPT. So like it can do everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But again, but it all depends on the technologies and who is in control of that technology. So PSYOP has a lot of very useful and benevolent aspects to it that can do very positive things and make changes. PSYOP is also always going to be a necessary part of warfare. But again, it all depends on how it's being used and by whom. So if we have people who have very bad intentions, then they can turn the PSYOP and cause a lot of harm.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Is someone gets their hands on it, then a bad person gets their hands on that technology or methods, then we're fucked.
Yeah.
Dan GPT, don't know what that is.
GPT was a blast. Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know what that means.
Well, I don't know what Dan GPT is, but GPT is the chat bot that you can talk to. That.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was talking to it earlier today. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
it's a tool. It's a tool to be used. I mean, same thing with a firearm. A firearm can protect you, but in the wrong hands, it can also be used to do a lot of harm. It all depends on who's using it.
What advice would you give someone who is interested in working in the field of PSYOPs or military intelligence?
What advice would I give them?
Sure.
I mean, if it's something that appeals to you, then go for it. It's the best I can say. It's like I said, PSYOP has so many different elements to it that it is a very challenging and rewarding field to get into. You can find yourself doing one of these cushy, nice, super secret squirrel operations, growing your beard out, wearing a suit at an embassy. And then once you come back home, find yourself assigned to a tactical unit and be on a 3-man tactical PSYOP team, out on the ground carrying a rifle with the Green Beret ODA. So, also, as far as intelligence goes, that's a common misunderstanding also. PSYOP is not military intelligence. PSYOP is special operations. Intelligence can have similar aspect to it, but it's still very, very different career fields.
Alrighty. Perth Comics says super chats. I looked, and I want to thank John Durham for the $10 super chat, but there's no message with it. Matt G left one like 2 days ago because I've had this as a upcoming stream for a couple of days. It says, if you re-enlisted, would you join Space Force? LOL.
I thought about that when Space Force came out, especially because I am a Trump fan. Just disclaimer out there. If anyone has an issue with that, I'm sorry. So when he created Space Force, I love the idea of it. Obviously, we're not going into space anytime soon, but damn, that would be pretty damn awesome to be like a Space Marine going up there. But even just all in general, what Space Force is doing. I love the idea of the warfare aspect monitoring our space operations. Just it's very appealing to me. Yeah, I thought about probably won't be going back in though, especially because unfortunately the military now is not what I recognized when I was in, and I would not be able to deal with the ridiculous social experiments that they're doing right now with all this racial stuff. And I'm not going to get into it. That's not the point of the show right now.
Do you think that might? Well, it's okay, but do you think that might be organized, like done by government, or who's the one behind all that crap?
If I was to give my honest opinion of what's going on, I think that they are intentionally trying to harm our military right now.
Who's they?
The people who are in charge of this administration, the people who have objectives, who want us to be at war with Russia and China. They would like to have our military weakened because they want all three of these superpowers, Russia, China, and the United States, to be knocked down. And I think that it is a very multifaceted operation that they're doing to harm our military right now.
They keep saying that you are yucky. I don't know who this yucky gum person is, but that's definitely not who he is. Weirdos in the chat.
I'm being called yucky gum? What does that mean?
I think it's a person. I don't know. Maybe you look like somebody else. I don't know. My chat's kind of retarded. They can't help it. Let's see. Soldier Spirit, Mike, what drew you to special ops?
So I was talking about the Intel MOS that I was in originally. The military was in the process of phasing it out, ground surveillance systems operator, because they considered it an unnecessary risk to human life. We were boots on the ground. My operation, I could spend 18 hours just with a rucksack on to eventually dig a hole in the ground and just sit there and monitor enemy activity. But we became obsolete with the use of satellite surveillance, and then especially the drone technology came out. So when my MOS was being phased out, it was time. I decided I was going to stay in the military, so I re-enlisted. I re-enlisted with the option to reclass my specialty. Initially, I was going to go into Cav Scout. But I did, like I said, I got an email from PSYOP to recruit me because they said, I guess my ASVAB score and a couple other aspects. And yeah, they, like I said, PSYOP is their own best recruiters because they do know how to persuade, change, and influence you. So they managed to do that to me. And yeah, they managed to make it sound really cool. Like I said, I worked with some tactical PSYOP guys. I liked it. I liked the look of what they did. The fact of working with special operations to be assigned and working with an ODA or Navy SEALs on the ground. I like the idea of that. And that was the main reason I went in, even though I found myself sitting behind a desk more often than not.
Fun times. Where'd you were stationed in Fort Huachuca at the same time that I lived there, apparently, right? Early 2000s?
Well, yeah. Late 2000 was when I was there, and then early 2001. But yeah, I wasn't there for very long. That was when I was there for my ground surveillance systems operator training, which was about 6 weeks, and I had 2 weeks here and there. So I was probably only there for about 8 weeks, a couple months.
Okay. Did you ever go off base?
Yeah, I had off-base privileges a little bit towards the end. Obviously, you know damn well being out there in Sierra Vista is nowhere to go, though.
Nope. Nada. Streamer looks deep fake. Look at how the hair disappeared randomly. Yeah, because I don't have a green screen. Probably going to PSYOP us and say it's no, I don't have a green screen. That's the problem. If I had one, I'd look crisp like he does.
Hey, I'll let you in a secret. The flag's not real.
Uh-oh. You just blew their minds. Did you ever get told off by Yucky Gum? Shut up.
What the hell is this? Oh, that's a joke to you?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. It's a new one that Jabba just created today. He likes to create jokes. I'm gonna search for Yucky Gum real quick. I shouldn't though.
Jokester.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Yucky Gum comics. I'm figuring out what this stupid crap is right now. It's just a person. It's a person on Twitter who does art or something. Who cares? I mean, good for them. It's my Comicsgate people. They're so silly. They're silly.
I'm sure they all love me and all the little fighting that I've got with Cecil now.
Oh, you have a propaganda comic book to show us, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I can show it.
Show it. Yeah.
I got it right here, actually. Yeah. And again, it's not propaganda. We don't like the term propaganda in PSYOP. That has very negative connotations. But yeah, this was not made by my unit. We had some of these though in our operations center, and so I managed to pick these up. This is a comic book that was produced at the higher levels within probably I assume 4 PSYOP group, put out in Iraq, and you can see it's backwards because Arabic reads backwards. So unlike our comic book, you'd open up from this end, but it goes in opposite direction. But yeah, this is kind of like this is an influence operation to make the insurgents look like the bad guys. That's why they got the evil yellow eyes. And then you have the Iraqi military guys down here, essentially like a Ninja Turtles team. Like you got the smart guy and you got the leader and you got the
put it a little bit closer and show some of the interior too, because these are comic book people. They like to see that. It had some good art on the inside of it too.
Yeah.
Open it.
Let me see if I can find.
Oh, hi, Yucky Gum. Nice to meet you, whoever you are.
Yeah. So here's one of the nice pictures after they had gone through some of the fighting. And again, this is first page here, and then the second page after here. So you see they're going through the fighting, and then there's the nice moment where the Iraqi soldier is saying hi to the little kid, got a flower that he's going to give him. And the point of this is because we were going through a difficult time trying to get the populace to trust the Iraq military, because they had lived their entire lives understand the Iraq military to be nothing but Saddam's army, who was always there just to enforce the fighting, to use brutal tactics from Saddam Hussein to hurt his people. So now we're trying to portray the military as an organization who's there to help them instead.
Pretty cool. How many pages is that? Do you know? Several.
If I had to guess, it's probably about 30, 40 pages.
Okay, about average. That's pretty interesting. How many? Wow, pretty rough question here. How many women and children did we kill in Iraq? Like, there's a number for that.
I'm sure that if you did the research, that number would be somewhere.
Yeah.
It's I won't ever justify something like that, but war is war, but unfortunately, yeah, that was very unjustified warfare that we went through. It's very sad to see everything that turned out and what happened after the fact, especially after 2 tours that I went through and all the people that I've known and people who I know who died out there. So let's get into a whole nother conversation as well.
It says, somebody said, I miss Yucky Gum super chat. I don't see, there's no super chat from Yucky Gum. But that's funny for some reason. Chimera says, is Michelle Obama a dude?
I mean, I saw that video on the Ellen show. Boing, boing.
Oh,
boing.
With her package jutting out? Is it that one? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, quite strange.
I believe the name is pronounced Michael.
Michael, yep. Michael Obama. That's a fun conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, so you can plug your stuff and tell us anything else you want to tell us. Whatever. I suck at interviewing. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. I mean, yeah, as far as like everything goes, like, the point of what we were talking about, what the CIA gets away with. I have no doubt that, our news broadcasts and the media companies and everything is, they have their messaging that gets put out by somebody. we know that I've seen on the news where they would talk about how both parties does it, where you'll have the Democrat Party will put out talking points that they like to at least encourage organizations like CNN, MSNBC, and all these. They would like to put out these messages that they would like as talking points. And this broadcast is on Fox News, and they're talking about, the Republicans do it as well. However, so it's when you see CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, every single one of these left-wing news organizations on a story, they'll say the exact same thing. That's because those are the encouraged talking points that they received.
Word for word, even. Like, they'll say it word. It's so creepy. But we only have one Republican station or like network.
Yeah, as far as mainstream goes, Fox News is really the only one that has conservative, right-leaning commentators on there. You know, if you're not also counting One American News and Newscast.
Yeah.
But so my point is that I have no doubt at all that because there's so much alignment with what the mainstream media puts out, and then what we've also especially learned about from the Twitter files, how the FBI was influencing Twitter to seclude certain stories and everything, that there is some level, someone somewhere is conducting these psychological operations and wanting to put out these PSYOP messaging to these broadcast companies to put out. So, yeah. Go ahead.
John says, "How do we know you're PSYOP?" I'm just taking your word for it. You don't have to prove it. I don't even know how you could prove it, but
I couldn't get here before now. So I guess you didn't see the rest of it. I mean, I'm not going to show my DD-214 on camera, but I think I did a pretty good job of explaining everything that PSYOP does and the entire process of going through, like I said, the plans and programs, teams of target audience analysis to production. Best I can say is take everything that I've said, and you can assume for yourself if I'm lying or not.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that your general population is not going to have the same kind of knowledge that I have.
Oh, snap. I missed it. John. Oh, there's Yucky Gum. Hold on. Super sticker. Thank you for that super sticker. John was saying, I lost it already. It was a good question. Oh, were you out of PSYOPs by the time ISIS took hold?
Yeah. I can't remember the exact time we heard the name ISIS, but yeah, I got out in 2009, and that didn't start taking place until afterwards. So yeah, it was really sad when we pulled out of Iraq and I started hearing about ISIS had strongholds in towns and villages where I was. So it was really, really sad to hear that.
Okay, that is sad. So now you're a YouTuber, is that correct?
Yep. Like I said, at Vets Talking, drop the G and you'll find me. We are a more veteran-centric channel than anything else. We have a group of guys who are military vets. One of them is actually still in the military. We've been doing a lot of commentary, pop culture stuff. We're pretty much all nerds. So I do reviews of Star Trek Picard every week. Before we did this, look at you and all your boomer in here. You can't even operate StreamYard.
I'm trying to get the name tags to show up. I don't know how to make it so they can
drop the comment.
Oh.
Yep. There you go.
See,
so
that better, way better. And you've only been doing it for a month, and you just reached 1,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah, I think we're closer to 2 months now. But yeah, I just hit I'm over 1,000 subscribers now, all because me and one of our Marine buddies, he's a musician, we did a review video of Tom McDonald's song "America," and like I said, a lot of what we're doing is pop culture, but we lean hard into the anti-woke. We're all patriots. We're sick and tired of the woke shit. So we're exposing. Hi, Dermy Wormy.
It's your friend. It's our son.
That's our adopted son, our little 6'5", big bouncing baby boy. He's a regular on Vets Talking. So thank you for stopping by.
Yep.
But but yeah, we always talk pop culture. Like I said, I am a nerd. I'm making reviews of Picard, and we did the song, Tom McDonald song, and that blew my channel up. So after just 2 months, yeah, we're over 1,000 views, and
Yeah.
I'm halfway in hours to monetization.
1,000 subscribers, but you say views,
Yep.
but you got like 12,000 views on that one video in like 5 days. So that's pretty good.
I think 13,000 now.
Oh snap! Barb Rogers sent a super sticker. Thank you.
Hey, Barb, thank you. Good to see you. You've been very sweet to me.
Barb's a wonderful person.
Yeah, she's been nice to me on John Mellon's show, even though I think everyone else hates me.
No, they don't. They really are. They're entertained by the whole dynamic for some reason. But yeah, good stuff. Dark Shadow Logan says, "Welcome home and thank you for your service, soldier / Mike. Glad you are home."
Thank you, Logan. I appreciate that.
When did you come home from?
I got it in 2009.
Okay, very cool.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, I do have somewhere to go in like 45 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up. But thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Chad, everyone out there. This is yeah. Glad. I think I told you before that I was hesitant on talking about having been PSYOP because I figured that was going to create conspiracy theories. But in you and me talking, when you asked me to do this, it occurred to me that trying to hide that would only look worse if it eventually came out that I was. Then I can be accused, oh, look, he's trying to hide the fact that he was PSYOP. So that's why I was why I was more open to the idea. Let's go ahead and do this, and I'll get my story out there ahead of anyone wanting to create conspiracy theories or anything like that.
Yeah, because you hear PSYOP, you automatically think the CIA version of it. That's
right.
Clandestine and no rules and doing stuff to citizens and stuff like that. So
yeah,
Army seems pretty straightforward. So yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all in the chat. And yeah, everybody, I guess peace out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.